It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mainz and Dutts. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague, already planning a sick day for Rogue One. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
All very well and good, sir.
That Rogue One trailer, yes, well done, Gareth Edwards. We like your work.
Indeed. Is he the one from St. Helens?
No idea. He's the one who did Godzilla, right? With Bryan Cranston. Or I don't know if have you seen that Godzilla film?
I saw it. I blinked and missed Bryan Cranston. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, let's have Bryan Cranston in this film. Oh, by the way, he's only in it for 5 minutes, but let's say he's the star. Bravo, everyone. Done. It's week 6, but it's a big week in Waxing Lyrical world because the first of the Waxing Lyrical bowls is upon us.
The wax bowl, the bowl of wax,
the bowl of wax. Sounds like a candle. Obviously, we'll get to that. We'll give you our hot wax takes. We've got 3 games this week. Eagles at Washington, Chiefs at Raiders, Cowboys at Packers. Then your standard fancy darling, fancy loser. And then round it off with our DFS teams of the week. Hopefully helpful to you as they've been helpful to me and Neil in their profit-making worlds. He says as he lost again last week.
I went 1 of 4.
I keep on finding one person who I can guarantee will be injured by the start of the first quarter, which kind of blows the team up.
I keep on playing people who insist on having 2 or more people playing on Monday Night Football.
You need to play the Sunday game in the round.
Yeah. Because Sunday games, I've won 4. I was, it's that thing of when I went to bed, I was winning 4 times. When I woke up, I won 1.
It's not a good look, Dutton. It's not a good look.
It's not fair.
No one wants to hear about our bad beats though, Dutton. So let's get on with our hot wax takes. Neil, give us a hot wax take, as I believe you got more than me this week.
Alex Smith will be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this week.
Nice, explain.
Alex Smith is playing one of the more benevolent teams to quarterbacks this week in fantasy. We'll get to that a bit later on in the Oakland Raiders. And I just think, I think he'll go for Smith. I think he'll go crackers.
I love the phrase benevolent. If for benevolence, see garbage. Yeah, it actually makes sense, and it will all become clear twice later on as we discuss Chief Raiders. And spoiler alert, Mainzy may have someone related to the Chiefs in his fancy team of the week. My first one, Dutton, is it doesn't even feel like a hot take based on what I saw on Sunday, and that is Brock Osweiler will be cut by the Texans before the start of the 2018 season. Oh, goodness gracious me. That looks like a lot of money that they've set on fire.
I did actually look up. If they cut him before the 2018 season, so if he's a pre-June 1 cut, they'll save $15 million against the cap.
Bye.
But they will leave $6 million in dead money. I'd consider that a lose Brock tax.
Yeah. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Bye-bye.
I mean, I wonder if he still finds, the criticism of him hilarious. Because I do.
He should do. I know he played the Minnesota Vikings and they are really, really, really good on defense, but by Jove, someone who's paid as much money should do a little better.
Mm-hmm. But the one thing I don't like is, I don't like this idea that, Elway's laughing up his sleeve. No. The Broncos wanted Osweiler. They just weren't going to break the bank for him. It's not like they said, we're not interested. So don't run away with that idea.
No, I like that idea, though, because it's fun. And then it reminds me of John Elway, like smoking a blunt or something while cackling gently to himself. Hot take 2, Dutton.
We do know there's one head coach in the NFL who loves the individual Super Bowl. The one player, he'll get up for this. He's the one who'll make him, team captains or whatnot. So with that in mind, LaShawn McCoy will have more total yards this Sunday against the 49ers than both Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman will have against the Seahawks.
Wow, that's heavy math. But for those who are unsure why he's doing that, it's because Rex knows that LeSean hates Chip. Again, spoiler alert. LeSean McCoy may come back up later in the show. In relation to Chip Kelly and his San Francisco 49ers, Christian Ponder will start more games than Colin Kaepernick this season. It's sad, but probably true. As I think, unless Colin Kaepernick magically put on those 10 extra pounds last week, which, by the way, even me or you couldn't do, he's going to get broken on a garbage team, and they will eventually move to Ponder, and he'll probably play 5 games.
We are just Jake Locker signing away from the very worst of the 2011 QB class, all getting a game for the 49ers this season.
That's horrific, and I have no words to describe what that transpires in my mind. Next button.
Staying in this game, the receiver to own of the 49ers, which is, a very hotly contested title the last few weeks, Jeremy Curley, will have 5 or fewer catches, 35 or less yards this week because of Kaepernick.
So that's not a bubble burst on Jeremy Curley. That's like dude thrown to him can't throw.
Dude thrown to him can't throw more. He can either throw 50 yards or not. He can't dump it. He has no touch. And plus as well, Curley's been like a dump off for a pop gun noodle arm Blaine Gabbert. We know now that Kaepernick, if there's one criticism, even when he was at his pomp, he leaves the pocket too quickly. So he's not going to check down to Curley. He's just going to take off, and that may well lead to him, his frail frame being broken, as you pointed out. By the way, I'd have a bloody good go at putting £10 on her a week.
No, it sounds like a challenge. I'm not saying we couldn't do it. I'm just suggesting that as an athlete, it would be difficult, as you have to train 4 times a week. We don't have to train 4 times a week. We sit on our fat arses and eat stuff. So we could definitely do it. By the way, is Blaine Gabbert, as you called him, popcorn noodle and whatever, is he the Aussie guy in the Simpsons who played Knifey Spoony?
No, I think he was the one who said, that Bullfrog was a funny name. I'd have called them Chazwazzers.
Chazwazzers. It doesn't get hotter than this one, doesn't it? Tom Brady will lead the NFL in touchdowns. Just for those information, he's given Ben Roethlisberger a head start of 11. So I'm going to say that Tom Brady leads the league in the NFL in touchdowns. He has got Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm going to beat up Vince McMahon and mow down everybody in my path to get to WrestleMania in his head, and it's going to happen.
I just find the whole Tom's angry narrative incredibly dull.
I don't, because I like wrestling and you don't. So, as the man who's wearing a Bullet Club t-shirt.
Yeah, Tom Brady's been pissed off with the world since 2007. Why now any different?
I think the elephant in the room, much like the Hulk, who was always angry, is that Tom Brady's been pissed off since he was picked in the 7th round from Michigan.
Yeah.
So it is an elephant, but I think they will lead the league in touchdowns. And that Bennett Gronk thing, every week I'm going to get that wrong. Oh yeah, that's one you won't get it right. I mean, someone has asked me, I've got Bennett and Gronk's on. I've got Gronk and Bennett on the waiver wire. Should I pick them up? No. If you've got them both, you'll drive yourself mad. Exactly, you're going
because
insane,
you will pick the wrong one. Yeah, absolutely. You will pick the wrong one.
Absolutely. Next one, Dutton.
Devontae Booker will be the lead running back in Denver by week 10.
You hate CJ Anderson.
I just keep getting burnt by him. Every time I try and get on board, he goes. He it's Laraville Magnifico. He's not actually very good. He's averaging 3.5 yards a carry, 7.8 yards a reception. Booker 4 yards a carry, 10 yards per reception. I'm sorry, let's let Matt take over. Plus, there's also the confirmation bias. They drafted Booker. Anderson was an undrafted free agent, I believe.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I think what we all need to talk about is we've assumed for the past 20 odd years that the Denver Broncos have been good on the offensive line. They're not. Like,
No.
when the Atlanta Falcons are getting like 5 or 6 sacks, you have done something wrong. Because I think that was numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in their season sack record. Do you know what I mean?
I believe
They're not
so.
good, so that's an issue. Final one for me, Dutton. The NFC East will have 2 of the top 4 picks in the NFL draft.
The NFC East?
The AFC East.
Oh.
The Miami Dolphins and the New York Football Jets. You're not long for this world. Time to pack it up. Dutton, please enlighten our listeners to our friend Ian Mullen's response to you telling them that Eric Decker was on IR.
2-14.
I looked at the schedule after that because I thought, that's funny, and it's probably
Where's the second win coming from? Where's the second win coming from?
Yeah, true. I think because they still got to play Miami twice, right? I think they're better than Miami.
Yes.
Miami are a tire fire. If you've got a bad
I think that's an
offense,
insult to tire fires.
if you've got a bad offense, now is the time to call Adam Gase up and say, you're going to be fired soon. Would you like a job as offensive coordinator next year? Final hot take, done.
Travis Kelce will have just his 3rd career 100-yard game on Sunday.
I think we're finding out pretty fast that when we talk momentarily about Chiefs against Raiders, we might pick the over.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, they're the hot wax takes, done. Let's just mosey on straight along with the games of the week.
The games of the week.
Touchdown, 85 yards. He's going to score. He's going to score. Touchdown.
Every time I hear that Gus Johnson touchdown, it just brings a smile to my face. Gus, come back to us. We don't get Fox College on BT Sport.
God bless you, Gus.
So let's just get on with it. It's the Wax Bowl. It's the Bowl of Wax. It's the Wax and Lyrical Bowl. It's Eagles at Washington. The over-under is 44.5. First question is, Lane Johnson is finally suspended for 10 games, I believe. Is that right, Neil? Mm-hmm. He's back week 16.
Yes.
How much does this suspension affect the Eagles?
Well, it does hurt the Eagles. I mean, this whole saga has been pathetic because it was announced that he'd failed the drugs test early August. So it might have been July, actually, now I think about it. Why is it dragged on till week 6? But anyway, I digress. He's a dickhead. He knows not to put stuff in his body, and he did it. So I've got no sympathy. He's an arse clown. I'd say there was some thought that maybe they'd move Alan Barbray over from left guard to right tackle. That would mean playing Stefan Wisniewski at left guard. He's #not good. So instead, at right tackle, they will be playing Halapoulivaati Vitae at right tackle.
Say that 4 times fast.
Probably the faster I say it, probably easier to get.
Don't say it 4 times fast, please.
Halapoulivaati.
Well done. I like it.
Basically, it's going to be difficult because he's going to be going up against Ryan Kerrigan, and Kerrigan, is going to try and get in his head. But the way the Eagles, probably the game plan is going to be Wentz is going to have to get the ball out of his hand quickly. It's not going to be, you're not going to be 5-7-step drops. Try and basically neutralise it, and they will help him. We'll see an awful lot of Brent Selleck playing on the line, probably to help him over there to do some chipping. But it's a big loss because through 4 games he had been the Eagles' best offensive lineman, except for one play against the Lions where he literally looked like he'd fallen asleep and just let the pass rusher get through.
I am happy that Johnson is out because it makes it easier. We're not the greatest pass rusher in the world. To be honest, Kerrigan hasn't done much this year. We've been focusing much more on Preston Smith and Trent Murphy. We shall see how that goes, Dutton.
Kerrigan's still looking for that play fake against the Cowboys.
I think you could be right. Let's not talk about that. The Eagles are only 20th in passing yards, Dutton, per game. So, and because they're playing Washington, from a fantasy angle, should people focus on Ryan Matthews and the rest of the Philly running backs?
Do I have to focus on Ryan Matthews?
If we ignore the terrible play that he did at the end of last week.
Useless booking hunt, I believe the first phrase may have been from me.
Rhymes with clucking bell, yeah.
Yeah. And I know, it's a team loss, and it's they shouldn't have put him in that position. Yeah, you fumbled the ball, douchebag. Literally, you may as well have drop kicked it out of bounds if that's what you're going to do. Ryan Matthews, he's not terribly good at football. I've noticed. He had, I think it was 4 receptions for. I think he had more receiving yards than rushing yards, but the Eagles were coming back from 21-7 down. Logical coaching would suggest that this is a weekend to emphasise the run, because we saw again last week that Terrence West was gashing the Redskins, but Mark Trestman just decided, no, that's enough. So you think you'll see a lot of Matthews, we'll see some Wendell Smallwood, Kenyon Barner, Darren Sproles, who was used an awful lot as a rusher against the Lions, because for some reason the Lions bought into this idea that they're going to run this jet sweep to Josh Huff again. No, you've seen it now. That's it. It's gone away. Please stop spread. Oh, okay, we'll run through you. So I wouldn't pin my hopes fully to Ryan Matthews, but maybe as a running back 3 or flex option, especially in PPR leagues, that might be the guy to have this week.
Jordan Reed is concussed again. He didn't practice today, which probably assumes he will be out. That fills me with dread, as he has the 5th most receiving yards in the league. Not for tight ends, in the league. What does that do to the rest of the pass catchers in Washington in terms of fantasy output?
Well, the Eagles were the 29th in fantasy points given up to tight ends. By the way, that's
don't
the
tell me
29th
that.
fewest.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, sorry, no, I've read it wrong. The Eagles have allowed the fewest fantasy points to tight ends.
That's good. Carry on then.
It was 29th to wide receivers.
Yeah.
But okay, don't panic. 27th to running backs. Without Jordan Reed, who basically is a number buster, he's a matchup nightmare. He'll do what he wants. I'm struggling to see how Washington do move the ball against the Eagles, assuming that Jim Schwartz doesn't forget, like he's got Nigel Bradham the way that Bradham forgets he's got a gun in his luggage. Seriously, if I see again Michael Kendricks on the field while Nigel Bradham is kicking his heels on the sideline, I want answers. Literally, it must be Bradham must have slept with Schwartz's sister.
It's time to get
Michael Kendricks
Fran Duffy on the
terrible.
phone. It's time to get Fran Duffy on the phone, don't, and ask that question as soon as you see it happen, mate.
He is terrible.
So, first things first, over under 44.5.
Over.
It's massive over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both teams are going to score at least 25 points. I can't see it being any other way. I expect it to be close, but you're favourite by 2, I believe. For the interest of fairness, me and Neil will be at Wembley for Bengals at Washington at Bengals, isn't it? Yeah, Washington at the Bengals, and then subsequently going on to the Gridiron after party. Please come along. Look at Twitter to find out all the details. Me and Neil have been retweeting it quite a lot. Loser wears the other team's jersey is a standard one, and this time it happens again.
Loser wears the legend.
Neil will be wearing Mr. John Riggins. Riggo. If he loses, Neil, who will I be wearing?
A choice of Brian Dawkins in green or Reggie White in black.
Reggie White in black sounds good. So because it gives that kind of old school feel of Riggo and Reggie White. So Eagles at Washington. It's all on the line. We'll find out who wins. Next game, Dutton. Talked about it a lot already, and that is Chiefs at Raiders. Quick question, really. A smashing by the Steelers followed by a bye week. Have we forgotten about the Chiefs too quickly in fantasy world and in real life?
Well, we should never forget what Andy Reid does with his teams after a bye. i.e. they win. This is all part of Doug Peterson being the anti-Reed, i.e. first bye week, the Eagles lose. It's easy to forget that they did get absolutely smoked by Pittsburgh, as you say, but they just caught Pittsburgh on one of those Ben FU days. Obviously, as I say, the narrative of angry quarterback. He's not angry. He just decides, okay, this week, Matthew, I'm going to be bombing it long. And Marcus Peters is a phenomenal young cornerback, loads of interceptions, but he is a tad over-aggressive and can allow people to get in behind him occasionally. It happens. They do have these games. They do have Jamal Charles coming back. They've been very careful with Charles, and apparently, according to Brad Childress, they're going to sprinkle him into the offense. The problem with Charles coming back in with Spencer Ware being as effective as he was is that basically they're going to cancel each other out. So the most they're both going to give you is running back 2 this week. But the Chiefs still have some weapons. I mean, Alex Smith has been good this year, despite actually not rushing very often. Jeremy Maclin has been quite quiet, but we've seen him in the past go on runs where all of a sudden he's uncoverable. Travis Kelce's just going to be this player who everyone's always going to love going into a season, but he's never going to get what we want. It's just that the defence isn't playing very well, which is great for fantasy, because it means they're going to have to throw it more.
You mentioned Jamal Charles, Dutton. He's back. Should we expect much from him?
Well, he's the most efficient running back in NFL history. He averages over 5 yards a carry. He's a great receiver. He's a wonderful pass blocker. This is his second ACL injury he's coming back from. And, he's at that horrible running back age, i.e. 30. I don't think we should expect the world, but I certainly don't expect him to be a bottom feeder. And especially against the Raiders. I think, didn't he score 4 touchdowns against them a couple of years ago? As long as he's used carefully and cleverly, and Andy Reid, let's be honest, he's quite a creative play caller. He does know how to use his players. He does forget he's got running backs at time. We know this. I think Charles is going to be an asset to his owners and DFS players the rest of the season. I just don't expect it. Don't expect top running back 1 production every week, not while Spencer Ware's there.
Yeah, I think the Spencer Ware conundrum adds into it, doesn't it? I suppose if we look at running backs, if we go to the Raiders side, it looks like Latavius Murray's out again this week. Jalen Richard or DeAndre Washington?
Is it Richard? Is it Rashad? Is it Rashad? Or is it there? I don't know.
All I know is I'm reading it here and it says Richard because I'm from the UK. Brexit-tastic there from me.
I personally prefer Rashad to Washington. I just think Rashad's got a bit more burst. I just worry that Washington looks like he's a little bit like, we want to get rid of Latavius Murray, so we'll replace him with Latavius Murray. Whereas I think Rashad's got a little bit more burst about him. So given the choice, and in several leagues I actually do have had to make the choice, I've gone for Rashad.
Over-under is 46.5, Dutton. Again, this looks like a low number to me. Defenses are struggling really badly on both sides. And offences are firing, or could fire quite easily.
Yeah. The Raiders are in the top 10 of fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, they're 3rd. Running backs, they're 9th. Wide receivers, they're 1st. Tight end, they're 6th. The Chiefs are allowing the 8th most fantasy points to running backs, the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers. Quarterbacks and tight end, 24th and 25th. There's points to be had here. This is if you've got them, start them.
It definitely is, Dutton. Are you going to pick Chiefs or Raiders?
Raiders. Love me some Derek Carr.
You're going against the Andy Reid bye week phenomena.
That's what Derek Carr's done to me with his mascara eyes.
I'm going with the Walrus. And by the way, did you mention Brad Childress' name? Is he the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs?
He's co-offensive coordinator. He's the passing game consultant. He's the passing game coordinator. Matt Nagy is the running game coordinator. But Reid calls the plays.
Reid calls all the plays. That's what I was going to say. It's like they're one of them teams. Like, you don't need an offensive coordinator. You have Andy Reid. He calls all the plays. What's Brad doing apart from looking like Tony Kornheiser?
Yeah.
Final game.
He does look like one of those teachers that would just bore you stupid, doesn't he?
He does history, doesn't he? Or chemistry, something boring. Do you know what I mean?
Third world economics.
Oh God. Final game. Cowboys at Packers, over under is 47.5. We'll come back to it. I'm not piling on. This is just the stat. The Packers are 27th in passing yards per game. That is ungood. Hashtag ungood. What should owners do with Rodgers and his wide receivers in their fantasy teams?
Keep Rodgers, bin the rest.
That simple.
It's as simple as... Randall Cobb has 600 receiving yards since week 3 of last season. 35 wide receivers have got more receiving yards than that. Just think about that. At least 40, by my count, wide receivers have scored more touchdowns than Cobb has since week 3 of last season. He's not... This is who he is now. I'm sorry, he got 110 yards against the Giants. Oh, I'm terrified of that. This is who he is. He's not very good. He's not being helped by... He's not being schemed open. They literally insist on just running ISO routes. There's a lovely GIF that friend Gelhar did tweet the other day. It was Nelson running... it was a crossing route, and he got open.
It's weird,
and then he got loads of yards. He got loads of yards after the carry. Who'd have thought? But they're being constricted. Basically, Rodgers is lucky he gets all the passing yards and he throws touchdowns. That's keeping him where he is. But this offense, it stinks.
If we go to the other offense, which doesn't stink, that's the Dallas Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott was a highly drafted pick in fantasy. In DFS now, is there a possibility he's the number 1 fancy running back you should be picking in DFS?
No, I'd still take Le'Veon Bell. I just think that they're not using Elliott in the passing game as much as people thought they would. And obviously, when your other running back is Alfred Morris, who, as we know, is about as effective in the passing game as a traffic cone, they're obviously just going to look for, especially this, as we say, the Packers' defense is great against the run. It's really, really good against the run, terrible against the pass. So this is a weekend for, short, intermediate. It's basically long handoffs. This is where it's going to be a good week for Cole Beasley. It's going to be a good week for Old Man Witten. Elliott will obviously get the bulk of the carries, but he's not doing it in the passing game. So he's one. Obviously, you're going to start him if you got him, but in DFS, if you got him, I would look elsewhere this week.
Before we go, Dalton, let's be the 5 millionth people to discuss Tony Romo. Just plain and simple, they win this game this week. It's a bye week. Who starts week 8?
Logically, it should be Dak Prescott, because this offense is perfect for this quarterback. It ceases to be perfect back when you have Tony Romo in, who you can't leave alone. He has to be protected to the nth degree. He's not mobile enough. He's not elusive. Des Bryant needs Tony Romo back. Des Bryant's owners need Tony Romo back, because without Romo, he's a completely different beast if he's fit. But quite frankly, Jerry Jones can come out and say, Romo's a guy, Romo's a guy, Romo's a guy. You're not a man of your word, Jerry. So ultimately, Tony Romo needs to think about it. There's no reason Tony Romo should play beyond this season. There's no reason he should play again. There's nothing, only bad things can happen if he comes back this season. Because say they go into a tailspin and don't make the playoffs, it'll be Romo's fault, because that's the only thing that will have changed.
I don't disagree, Dalton. And although I think that Jetta will go with Romo, the problem is how many weeks does he play? 2. He's one crunching tackle away from never playing again.
Yeah, he won't be able to scramble. He'll have to stay in the pocket completely, and they'll have to max protect him. So that means Witten's going to have to stay in and block. Probably, Elliott is going to have to stay in and block. Basically, then relying on Cole Beasley, but he's playing out the slot, and Des Bryant. Well, Bryant's obviously great. You want to throw it up and he'll go and get it, but how many times can you do that? Seriously?
Cowboys or Packers done over unders 47.5.
I'm going to take the under, but I'm going to take the Packers to win.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree on the under. I don't want to do this. I'm going to pick the Cowboys, Dalton. Don't want to do it, but I've done it. So there we go.
You sicken me.
I sicken myself. So there are games of the week. Obviously, many more games, and we'll probably get onto a few of them when we talk about our fancy teams of the week. But Dalton, let's get straight on with it. People want to know who Dalton's fancy darling is.
Hello, darling.
Alex Smith. The stars are aligning for Alex Smith this week. If he lets me down this week, I'll never ever big him up again until next week.
There's not really much else to say on that, so let's quickly get on with Dutton's fancy loser.
He keeps proving me wrong, because the last 2 weeks I've said he won't come to the party, but this week he can't come to the party. Matt Ryan. The Seahawks are not going to let him get away with what he has been allowed to get away with against the Panthers and the Broncos.
Did you see that it's going to be Sherman v Jones almost all game, it looked like? I saw a news article about that, which is very different to how the Seahawks usually play, as Sherman usually plays left side, right?
He usually plays the left cornerback, so
left cornerback, right side.
Right hand,
right.
if you're...
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those we have to, because we know that Julio Jones moves all around the formation. So as good as the other parts of the Legion of Boom are, they're obviously banking that Sherman over there can literally cut the field in half, and then you're relying on Mohamed Sanu, who, by the way, an awful lot of people are going on about what a wonderful addition he's been. Really, I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing what he's doing. Coleman and Freeman, wonderful, yeah. The two tight ends are doing a great job. Sanu is just there,
I think sometimes people think that it's like that because, oh look, Julio Jones got 300 yards, so that means Sanu must be taking coverage. No, Julio Jones was getting hundreds and hundreds of yards last season. He had no one, so I don't know what the difference is. Yeah,
Julio Jones is that good at football.
Julio Jones is a centaur. He's not actually human.
Mm-hmm.
People need to accept this. Fancy darling Alex Smith, fancy loser Matt Ryan. We'll see how Dutton's predictions go. Let's get on with it, Dutton. Final thing of the show, Daily Fantasy Team of the Week.
Mainz and Dutts, Daily Fantasy Team of the Week.
Show me the money.
Well, Dutton, I broke my rule.
Oh, Dutton's broke his rule. You picked someone, you picked a quarterback. Too expensive. Go for it. Who is it?
I picked a quarterback because I wanted him paired up with my big money wide receiver. So, 7,500, Ben Roethlisberger.
Because he's playing Miami and they can't do diddly poo.
Mm-hmm. They are obscene. Sometimes when bad teams they're a tough watch, they're an impossible watch. I've got no intention of watching any of the Titans v Dolphins on Game Pass from last week. No intention at all. Terrible, terrible team.
See, the weird thing about this show is that I usually do the rundown. I'm just letting you be on the curtain now, and I don't know anything that Dutton's going to say, but he knows exactly what I'm going to say. So what's really frustrating is that now it seems that I knew that Dutton was going to talk about Alex Smith all bloody show, and I was going to pick him as my fancy quarterback at $5,700 because he's playing Oakland, and Oakland are rubbish on defense. So Alex Smith at that value is exceptional.
I agree.
Running back one, Dutton.
I'm not really. I say I've had to make do at running back this week because I went big on quarterback and wide receiver. It's Cameron Arthurs-Payne. I just don't think Jonathan Stewart's going to come back into the first, the front running role. I don't like Fozzie Whittaker. I don't think he's very good. Cameron Arthurs-Payne was a lot more efficient against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're playing the Saints, who bleed fancy points to running backs. The 32nd overall in scoring to the running backs. He was 3,700.
I'm just going to give you a tweet from our friend at Matt Francisovich. Running backs versus San Francisco in the last 4 weeks. Fozzie Whittaker at 100 yards. Seawoke 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott 138 yards and a score. David Johnson 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chip Kelly and LaShawn McCoy do not get on. LaShawn McCoy is 6.9 thousand. Yes, please. As I'm with you, Dutton, this could be a large day. Lots and lots of touches for LaShawn this week.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your running back 2, Dutton?
Well, he's playing Washington, so it's Ryan Matthews.
I endorse this message, as I have also picked Ryan Matthews.
4,000.
4,900, right?
Yeah, I don't feel good about it, but again, it's a sacrifice I've had to make.
I just hope that Doug Peterson went to the same school as Andy Reid / Mark Trestman, and when he realises that he can run really, really well, he throws it a lot. Baltimore, just as I digress, Baltimore were running at 7 yards a clip, and at one stage threw 22 times on the run. That's how you get yourself fired. If anybody's unsure, that's how you get fired.
When was the last time an offensive coordinator was hired because he ran the ball a lot? Doesn't happen. They have to be gurus at the passing game if they want jobs. No, just do this job.
Just do a job where you can make both sides of the ball work.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 1, I already know the answer, and it's the same as mine.
Downtown Antonio Brown.
Downtown Antonio Brown. Wow. $10,000, Dutton. That is a serious chunk of change.
Worth every penny.
Exactly. I dread to think what the rest of your team looks like if you've got him and Ben. Because I went for him and McCoy, and the rest of it is it is mid-card jobbers and curtain jerk, as you like to call it. Mm-hmm. Who's wide receiver 2, Dutton?
My boy, Cole Beasley.
I have also gone for Cole Beasley in a similar, as you mentioned. Dak can't throw it far. They may not run that well this week. Lots of short and intermediate. Cole Beasley's a winner. Wide receiver 3, Dutton.
Jeremy Macklin. 6,300.
Oh, that's Dutton's new price. I have gone for Chris Hogan against the Cincinnati Bengals. He probably won't do anything. I'm just hoping for that 145-yard bomb and it becomes a touchdown.
Good old 7-11.
Tight end, Dutton.
Rob Gronkowski. 6,700.
I hear he's good. I pray you're right. My weekly fantasy prays to the Lord above that you were right, that Rob Gronkowski's good this week. I've gone for someone who used to be like Rob Gronkowski and then disappeared in a puff of smoke, but is slowly returning back to reality and relevance. That is James Jimmy Graham, 4,900. He's playing the Falcons.
Jimmy Graham has got 213 yards receiving in his last 2 games. He is part of this offense.
Exactly, Dutton. He is part of the offense this season. I expect it to continue. Who's your flex, Dutton?
Charles Clay. You talked before about the running back success against San Francisco. They've allowed 100 receiving yards to tight ends twice already this season. Clay, in the last 2 games, has 10 catches for 120 yards from 12 targets. He's enjoying the fact that Greg Roman doesn't have a job anymore. He was only 2,900.
I've gone for Carlos Hyde, who's playing the Bills. He's the only player of any remote talent on the 49ers offense. I suppose, exception Jeremy Kelly, but someone's got to throw it to Kelly, and they're not going to be able to throw it very well. They will have to run it. And luckily, the Bills don't blow teams out, so they'll be able to run. So I'm hoping to get a similar output that he got last week, which was like 77 yards on the ground to a score, and he got about 40 yards in the air as well.
Yeah, to be honest, Chip Kelly has them still running even when they're behind. So the volume's there.
He's 5,100. Who's your defense, Dutton?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Miami, you are ungood. I cannot believe someone is actually going to challenge the Cleveland Browns to be the worst team in the league and the first pick in the draft.
I mean, Ross Tucker said on his Power Rankings podcast, the Browns have got something to look forward to in that they're in games. What are the Dolphins? Seriously? I mean, we know Dolphins fans. Obviously, you're related to one of them. We speak, quite regularly to other ones, like Nat Coombs and people like that. What have they seriously got to look forward to for this team this season?
When people like Will Gavin and Marcus Grant, who are San Francisco 49ers fans, are feeling sorry for teams, there's an issue.
Yeah. That's like the equivalent of, Ethiopia having a rock concert for Stockport, to try and raise some money. That's that equivalent.
Exactly, done. Okay, Dutton, let's quickly go back through the teams. Who's your quarterback?
Quarterback is Big Ben Roethlisberger.
I've gone for Alex Smith. Running back 1.
Cameron the artist painter.
I've gone for LaShawn McCoy. Running back 2.
Ryan Matthews.
Amen to that. Wide receiver 1.
Cole Beasley. Oh, sorry, Antonio Brown.
Downtown Brown. I've also gone for him. Wide receiver 2.
Beasley.
Both of us. Wide receiver 3, Dutton.
Jeremy Macklin.
And I've gone for Chris Hogan. Tight end.
Rob Gronkowski.
So make sure that you pick up Martellus. Is it Martellus Bennett?
Martellus Bennett, yeah.
He's Martellus Bennett because he will probably score as Dutton's picked the other one. I've gone for Jimmy Graham. Who's your flex?
You think about it, if you've called one of your kids Michael and you called the other one Martellus. What happened there?
I don't know. Can't wait for their reality show on either. I won't watch.
I remember Dave Damashek did say it was Merlin Olsen. That's his name, Merlin. It's a good job he was talented. Because can you imagine if he was working in a Walmart or something? Hey Merlin, mop up on aisle 4. Use your magic on that.
Yeah. Okay, Dutton. Flex.
Flex is Charles Clay.
I've gone for Carlos Hyde. And the defense?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
It is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dutton. We are beating up on Dolphins as much as SeaWorld used to beat up on killer whales. Hot take.
I'm getting dolphins caught in the tuna nets and I'm eating them up.
Wow, that means the Mullins won't be listening to this show again. Dutton, before we go, yeah, I know, yeah, like Laura would listen to an NFL anyway. Any final words before we go? No,
the final words. Obviously, do get involved in this. The Gridiron, after show party. It'd be great to, to speak to anyone who listens to us. But there'll be some good people there. There's a lot of good people from the UK scene, as it were. And obviously, it's the last international game of the series. We can finally say goodbye to 6 teams we hope won't darken our shores again.
Yeah, indeed, Dutton. If you want to speak to us, I'm at Mainzy7. Neil is at ndutton13, and together we are at waxing_lyrical. The tweets that I've got really bad spelling are done by me. This has been Waxing Lyrical. Get used to it.
Right, I'm going to have to